Hi everyone, a very good noon to all of you. I welcome you to the last lab to CMAT, and today we'll talk about reading comprehension passages because they have been an important component of CMAT language comprehension section. Right, so give me a hi, hello so that I know you are here and I am audible and visible to you. Right, let's see. So I need some response before I begin. Okay, so if I talk about reading comprehension passages, let's talk about the last year, right? Let's talk about CMAT 2022 first. Last year, there were 20 questions in all in language comprehension, right? In the English section. Out of these, there were 4 from an RC passage. So just one RC passage. It was on urbanization. 4 questions from it. Easy read. The passage was an easy read. The questions were pretty easy, right? And this was the breakup of the question type. So there was a main idea question. There were direct or fact-based questions. And there were vocabulary based questions. So one main idea question, there was one vocabulary based question wherein you were asked the meaning of the phrasal verb let up, right? And there were 2 fact based or direct questions, right? Hi Nancy, hi Ashmita, hello Gayatri, hello Yashi. So okay, good, finally got your messages, right? So what is the meaning of the phrasal verb let up? Yes, before we proceed, tell me. If I say the storm is just not letting up, what do I mean? Yes. Let's see who answers the fastest. The storm is not letting up, or the storm has finally let up. So, what does let up mean? To lessen, to decrease in intensity. Absolutely. Okay, that is the meaning of let up. To lessen or decrease, and usually we refer to it in the context of intensity of something, right? Okay. Now, let's have a look at what happened from 2017 to 2021, right? So we just saw the RC passage that came in 2022, what kind it was, right? Let's talk about 2017 to 2021. Now, remember the pattern of CMAT was relatively different. So instead of 20, there were 25 questions in language comprehension, and a lot of times the paper happened in multiple slots, right? So for instance, in CMAT 2021, there were 2 slots, whereas in 2022, there was just 1 slot. Now in slot 1, there were 4 RCs, okay. So out of 25 questions, 7 questions were from RCs, okay. Sorry, not 7, 8 plus 6. So there were, oh my God, there were 14 questions, okay, that were there from RC passages in slot 1. And now look at slot 2. How uncertain, how variable slot 1 was from slot 2. 14 questions in slot 1 from RC passages versus 5 questions in slot 2 from RCs. So that way the exam can be a little unpredictable. Although if you ask me, I expect one passage this year. Out of 20 questions, I think to make a balanced paper, you should not give more than one RC passage. However, you can never be sure about these things. So prepare for multiple RCs, prepare for RC passages of multiple sizes, multiple lengths, right? So today also I have one long RC for you, one short RC, right? And number of questions has also varied. So if you see 6 questions here, okay, 4 questions, 3 questions, just 2 questions, right? So the number of questions has also varied over the years, right? So you have got up to 4 RCs, you have got even 1 RC, you have got just 2 questions, and you've got even 6 questions, right? Okay, so this is just to show you that the pattern has varied over the years, right? Now, we'll solve 2 RC passages today, as I told you. The first one is a long read. It is followed by 4 questions, right? It's an interesting RC. You will enjoy it. Just read with concentration and try to be, efficient readers. Don't be lazy when you read. Don't keep rereading. So don't regress. Don't take pauses in between, right? So read efficiently, read in one go, and keep comprehending as you go. Right? We have fact-based questions, we have main idea questions, we have vocabulary questions based on it. Okay. So here's your first passage. Once you complete this slide, you have to let me know so that I move to the next one. Mayank has finished. Others? Perfect. Done. Okay, perfect. So I'll keep hiding my video wherever I feel that I'm hindering your reading of the text. Right, read this. Good. Others? Done. Okay, great. Let us have a look at some questions then, can we? So this is your first question, right, on your screen. Now look at the options, and if you want to go back, let me know, right? And accordingly answer the passage, answer the question. Okay, got my first response. Others? All right. All right. Kishan says B, Bangalore. Slide 1, can we go to? Sure, we can. So this is your slide 1. So research suggests that they are the product of changes which took place hundreds of years ago. So product of events that happened in history, right? The conditions that persisted then. So for instance, some one country practiced plow cultivation, whereas one country practiced shifting cultivation. Yes? Then what else? Pre-industrial, so conditions in the past. So we talk about disease here, okay? That there are societies that have been threatened by disease. So this talks about their condition in the past, right? Then pure luck, when we talk about Europe, when we talk about Europe scenario, pure luck. So you are right in saying that all of the above, all of the above, that is the what the option should be. All of the above. Right? D is our answer. So they can be a product of events in history, the Egypt-Namibia example, conditions in the past, the disease example, accident in history, Europe versus China, that example. So D, Delhi is the answer. Excellent. So this was a question that even though it was direct, it still required your reading the entire passage because the answer came from different paragraphs. Right? So you can have such questions also where each option will present something from a different para of the passage. Okay, all right. Now, look at question 2 and tell me what the answer should be. If you want to go back, let me know. So we need to remember where the person's name was mentioned, right? So in the exam, you need to remember, okay, where do I have to look for this person's name? Okay. Okay. Seen the relevant portion? Okay, going back to the options because I've shown you the paragraph for a good amount of time. Okay, I've got some responses and all of you say C. Mayank, Gayatri, Nancy, Aman, Sonali. All of you are correct. Now, see, this was an easy question, right? Why? Because one, it was direct, and two, it was based on a specific paragraph. Right, the answer came from just one para. So let's say in the exam, I do not have the time to read the entire passage. However, what I can do is I can read this question stem and I can simply hunt for this guy's name. So the moment I find it on the second slide, the moment I find it in my paragraph, I can read what this guy did and then eliminate very easily because the others are not even close, right? So C is the answer here. So these kinds of questions you definitely have to attempt, right? Don't think about leaving an entire passage. All right. Question 3. Again, we need to remember where this person's name was mentioned. Alberto Alesina. The options help. I have to go to the paragraph that talks about Namibia and Egypt, isn't it? So let's go back. Let's see. Let's go back to the paragraph on Namibia and Egypt. No issues, HR. We'll resolve this. Have we read this paragraph? Have you read this paragraph, HR? We had to read this portion here. Let's go and see what the answer should be. Okay. Yes. Okay, got my first response. All right. So here, if you see, the paper does not focus on the richness of the countries, right? On how rich they are. It is definitely about difference in female labor force participation rate. So A and C go out of the window right away. Now, between B and D, one of them is factually incorrect. B is factually incorrect because it says Namibian women are less. No, Namibian women are more than twice, right? So factually incorrect, and therefore only D Delhi is the possible answer here, the possible correct answer. So the reason behind the disparities in female labor force participation in Namibia and Egypt, despite their economic parity, this is given that one is as rich as the other. Okay, hence D. Yes, yes, definitely. This is CMAT language comprehension, okay, Pandey. So it is supposed to be easier than CAT, much easier than CAT. All right. So I'll resolve your concern, HR. Let's just finish this first RC, then I'll discuss. Okay. Which of the following statements best captures the theme of the passage? So a main idea question right here. And here, you can't go back and reread the entire passage. You don't have that luxury as such. So tell me what the answer should be. No, kinship does not mean slavery, Piyush. Kinship is the a fact of being related to others. So, for instance, you and your cousins, you share kinship. You and your siblings have kinship. So, kinship is being related by family. right? And it also means being, so it's loosely also used for the community that you live in. Okay. All right. Got three responses. Others. Okay. Okay. All right. So easy again. So this is the actual level of your CMAT RC passages. Sometimes the RCs are even, even easier to read than what we just read. Okay. So B is the answer here. Absolutely correct. The others don't make sense. See, any answer here has to talk about culture first of all. Okay. This talks just about institutions, so D cannot be the answer. Then we are saying the impact of culture on income or wealth. That's what we are studying. We are not going the other way around. So A turns the effect into cause and cause into effect. So it distorts that cause effect relationship. Right. A history of economic theories as a guide to culture? No. Culture's impact on economy. That is what we are studying. So B Bangalore. Okay, perfect. So now see, if you ask me, in CMAT, language comprehension is a section that has just 20 questions. You know that, right? So you can manage to get a decent score in this section. Okay, how? You have a good number of vocabulary questions. So I suggest that you focus on these vocabulary questions. Now I understand that vocabulary is an ocean and you may not know the meaning of all the words. However, if you open your past year papers, you'll realize that the words that CMAT has asked over the years, they've been very high frequency words that you use commonly. Okay, so first is go through the past year papers. I'm sure many of you have already done this, right? Then go through various OMET past year papers. So other management entrance test past year papers. This I'm not sure about how many of you have done it, because again you'll pick up a lot of high frequency words from here, and you will also get exposed to various question types, analogies, spellings, right? These question types. So whatever is available, for instance, snap memory based papers are available, right? Go through them. Some IFT papers are very challenging. Some questions, vocabulary questions there are quite challenging. So if you go through the difficult thing, then of course CMAT will appear easier to you, right? So go for OMET past year papers. This will expose you to question type. Similarly, I keep talking about the quizzes that we have on our app. Go through these vocabulary quizzes, highly relevant for your exams. So go for those vocabulary grammar quizzes. So my point is that practice through questions. Learn as much as you can through questions. Okay, at this stage. And I think that should help you to see improvement. Second is that always, eliminate in your vocabulary questions. See, I understand it is not humanly possible to know all the words out there. So there are questions that are sometimes challenging for me as well. So what do I do? I mean, not in CMAT. What do I do? I eliminate. Okay, I group and eliminate. So synonym question hai and two options, two words look very similar to me. Probably neither is the answer then. This is what I do. Okay, so make use of such techniques. So I think that should help. So vocabulary, 10 questions came last year from vocabulary. Grammar is something that you should have, worked on. I mean, in a few days, you can now just revise your notes, the notes that you have, but it is something that you should have worked on from the moment you decided to take CMAT, right? And then the application of these concepts matter. So at this stage, again, I'll suggest practice through questions and go for the main concepts. I'm sure you must have some notes. Okay, in case you don't, then there is this book called Manhattan Prep. Okay, it has very concise grammar notes, so this may help you. Manhattan grammar. Usually GMAT students use it, right? But it'll help you as well. And apart from that, RC passages, we are practicing them right now, so I think this should help you. ठीक है? All right. Okay, so for our first passage was slightly lengthier. Now look at this passage, just two slides are there, okay? So an easy read. but it is followed by 6 questions, right? So this has happened in CMAT. Short passage followed by a large number of questions, hence this passage. So read it. Let me know once you're done with the first slide so that I can proceed. Done, everyone? Okay, just 2 of you have responded so far. 3, all right. Going to the next slide. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So easy passage, short passage, and talks about something that it's very topical in nature, nothing abstract about it, something that we have read about earlier as well, right? So let's look at some questions. Now, question 5. What do you say? Read the options. Got my first response. All right. So good that all of you are saying D, okay, and nobody said A. See, what has it succeeded in establishing? So, what is the result? Is what I'm talking about. Now, this is something that she says, okay, that we need to challenge the status quo, but this is not the result. Then society must break away from attempts at stereotyping gender issues. This is not the main result here. So, B and C were easy to eliminate. However, a student could have got confused between A and D, but look at the language. See, this is verbal ability, right? So the brain of men and women are alike. That's not the point that she wants to establish. Okay, D is the point that she wants to establish. And there's one more question related to this where I'll explain this in further detail, that why we eliminated A. Because if I explain it right now, that question will be answered, right? So just hold your horses. Anyway, all of you have said D. Okay. And when we come to that question, we'll discuss it in detail. I'll go back and everything. Okay. All right. Question 6. By referring to the world as gendered, the writer wants to convey that. Okay. C, D. All right. So mostly I've got D's. I can say that. One C I've got. One's gender is bound to determine one's abilities. Does the writer want to convey this? That your gender determines your abilities. This goes against the passage. Okay, this goes against what the author wants to convey. C is eliminated. This is extreme in saying that the debate will never be resolved. Extreme. And this is not something that has been said by the passage that gender differences can be detected right from childhood. No. Okay, so A and C go against the author's tone, what the author wants to convey, the author's stance. B is extreme. The only option that is left is D, Delhi. Society continues to be fixated on gender stereotypes. See, again, you could have asked me to go back here, right? Never shy away from going back to your passage when you are attempting the questions. When you are read it in one go. Okay, but when you attempt questions, you can always go back. Let's go back and check this. So here we said, in this gendered world, we continue to live with notions that one's gender determines one's skill and preferences. So we have these notions, okay, from toys and colors to career choices. So the girl child will be presented with a Barbie doll, while the boy child will receive a Lego set. So this is the society's notion. Okay, the society continues to remain fixated on the gender stereotypes. See, in the previous sentence. So read the preceding sentence and the succeeding sentence. But can we today see a swing away from these stereotypes? So male superiority is a stereotype, female submissiveness is a stereotype, or have they established a stranglehold on our perceptions? Then the author wants to say it has established a stranglehold on our perceptions because we continue to live with these notions, right? So D, Delhi is going to be the answer here. Okay. C again goes against the author's views that gender determines. The author's view is not that gender determines one's abilities. ठीक है? D, Delhi. Let's come to question 7. The danger in adopting a binary view of the human brain is that it can Okay. All right. A, B, D, C. Okay, now here I'm getting diverse responses. Yes, we can go back. Good move. All right. So let's go to the last paragraph. Hmm. Read this? Okay, so I hope you've read this. I've given you ample time. Now, so I've got A, all right. Okay. So this is a good question. And to be honest, this is a relatively higher order question. We can see that all of A is also mentioned, B is also mentioned, right? As a danger in adopting a binary view of the human brain. D is also mentioned, right? So when we read the last paragraph, we did talk about how it is used to justify saying there's no point in girls doing science, right? Uh, or compelling boys to opt for science. So yes, academic choices. Then feminine masculine traits. And most dangerous of all, to proclaim that boys, not girls, are meant to lead. Okay, so when we are given multiple dangers and our question is asking us what is the danger, right? So, uh, my options have this also, they have this also, they have this also. So, which one should I pick? I should pick the one that has been referred to as the most dangerous of all because that is what the author is focused the most on. So, that is why the answer will be D here. Okay, so such questions they can be asked from you. Remember this, right? And having practiced some RC passages, I have seen such questions in other exams also, where they'll give you a list out of the things that are there in the passage. Then you have to pick up the most important from them, right? So, our answer here, when we talk about the danger, it is going to be used to encourage male dominance and superiority, that boys and not girls are meant to lead. Okay, this is the focus. Do we get this? I hope we do. All right. So HR said for the previous question, he made this observation, they made this observation that by referring to the world as gendered, the writer wants to convey that they thought that here we have to give people's notion. No, the question says what does the writer want to convey? Okay, not what people, the beliefs that people hold, right? So we need to first see from whose perspective we have to give the answer. Here we had to see the answer from the writer's perspective. राइटर ने क्यों यूज किया ये वर्ड दिस इज व्हाट वी हैड टू कन्वे ऑलराइट okay so coming to question 8, let's see what you say. Okay. Some of you want to go back to the slide where this is mentioned. So let's go back. So I am Nikita Gupta, in case you're wondering who's responding in the chat box. Done? Okay. So okay, first you answer this. Fine. First answer this. Okay, then I'll come to this. I've been waiting to discuss this with you. Yes, what do you say? Okay. So Mr. Surendra has answered. Others? Chinmay has answered. Mayank, okay. Piyush answered earlier itself. All right. So I think now it is very clear to all of you what the answer should be. So that's the advantage of going back, right? And it is also clear to you what the British professor, what is the point that the British professor is trying to make. So the British professor wanted to tell us that we need to move beyond this gendered categorization of human brains, right? That okay, female brain is like that, male brain is like that. Just move beyond it, because human brains are highly individualized. They are adaptable also, and they're full of limitless potential. Okay, so that's what she is emphasizing. She urges us, right? This is written very clearly in the passage. She urges us to move beyond this. Okay, and see the question that we had, the very first question: what do her study, what does her study establish? Her conclusive findings establish that no brain differences can be found that are solely gender related. Okay. So no brain differences can be found that are solely gender related. That means there could be differences, but they are not solely gender related. So that is why we rejected option A here. The brains of men and women are alike. There could be differences, but those differences are not gender related. Right? That's why we rejected A, and that's why we went for D. That the potential, limitless potential. Remember, the potential of a human brain is not directly linked to gender. So I hope now, both the questions are clear to you, right? C is the answer here. Okay. Now we have a couple of vocabulary questions. So the synonym of stranglehold is, stranglehold was used in para 1. What is the synonym? जल्दी जल्दी से बताओ ये. This is a vocabulary question, time saving question. And in case you remember the sentence good, in the exam, if you do not remember the sentence, you can go back and read that sentence. It's absolutely okay. We were talking about gender stereotypes when we said that do they still have a stranglehold on us, right? Have we moved away from them, or do they still have a stranglehold on us? F, which option is F? Mostly I've got D's here. So asphyxiation, what is that? Asphyxiation? Yes. Choking because of a lack of oxygen is asphyxiation. The when you are deprived of oxygen, which can result in unconsciousness also, and in extreme cases it results in death also. That is asphyxiation. That was not what was meant there. It was not used literally there, right? Overwhelming control, a very tight grip, and that too in a metaphorical sense there. Nobody is holding another person by throat. Okay, so D is our answer. Good. Containment. What is containment? When COVID struck at at its full intensity, containment zones were created. Remember? So what is containment? When we want to keep something harmful within a boundary, within some limits. That is containment. That's the idea of containment. Okay, so that action is called containment. Okay. So this was stranglehold, overwhelming control. Let's have a look at the 10th one. The antonym of unbounded. Yes, correct, correct. Akshansh, Mayank. So last question for the day. Let's see. Okay, Omkar has answered the fastest, followed by HR. Prajwal says B. Kishan says C. All right. B. Aggressive. How is this an antonym? How is this the opposite of, let's say, unrestrained or free or limitless? A or D? Confused. Fearful. Does unbounded mean fearless? It means limitless. So D is not the answer. B is not the answer. I thought that you would get confused between A and C, but I'm happy to see most of you answering A. A is the answer. Because if this means limitless, it means unrestrained. The opposite has to be restricted, something that has limits. So A is our answer. Imprisoned is not necessary. It's not necessary that you've kept this person in a prison or something. Okay, you've just imposed some restrictions. That is enough. So A is the answer. All right. So any queries that you have related to RC passages, please ask. My suggestion to you would be never leave a CMAT RC passage completely. At least attempt the vocabulary questions if nothing else. Do go for the fact-based or direct questions. They are easy. And in case you don't have time, you can skip the main idea question because you may not have read the entire passage. But definitely go for those direct questions that are paragraph based. Read the questions first, okay, and then you can scan the passage for answers. Okay, so if you see that okay, a particular name has been mentioned, hunt for that name from the passage. That way, I think you'll be able to attempt 3 out of 4 questions, right? So, as I've said, read the questions first, scan the passage quickly, and do give the vocabulary questions a sincere shot. So this is it from my side for CMAT RC passages. I'll meet you again when we talk about CMAT vocabulary, right? An important component of your language comprehension section. So yes, I'll see you on 28th now, right, on Friday. And this is your schedule. So Gaurav sir will talk to you about geometry and mensuration on 26th. Then Naveen sir will talk about seating arrangement and number series. Vikrant sir will talk to you about verbal reasoning, an important component of your reasoning section. And Salik sir will talk to you about GK. All right. How to find the theme of the passage. Prajwal, see, for finding the theme of the passage, there are no hacks that I can give you. You have to read the entire passage thoroughly. The main idea is usually that thing that is often repeated in different ways. Right. It is, you will find it repeated in different ways. You will find that the author is discussing multiple aspects of one thing itself in a passage. That's why the author calls it one passage or one article. It is meant to discuss multiple aspects of one thing. So, what is that one thing? What is that common thread? That is what you have to identify. A lot of times, reading the opening and the closing paragraphs helps. But I am not one of those people who will tell you that, okay, bus closing or opening पढ़ लो, main idea पता लग जाएगा. It's not as simple as that, right? If it were that simple, everybody would crack CAT, CMAT, etc. So these do help, right? Look at words that have been repeated, ideas that have been repeated. Look at opening and closing paragraph, and always eliminate, right? RC passages in CMAT, I have found them to be easy. Okay, so I would not even say easy to moderate, easy. I think I addressed your query, HR. Okay. Otherwise, please repost it. I asked a question from you that, you talked about feminine and masculine traits that, okay, but then this is what the entire thing is about. But my question was, why are we dividing? Why are we dividing people into masculine and feminine? There must be some purpose that we are trying to serve through it, right? So we are creating this division to create a hierarchy in the society that, men are superior, women are inferior, male dominance. So that's the whole point of deciding that you should pursue this, you should pursue that. Okay, this is feminine, this is masculine. That's the whole point of a division, right? Creating a hierarchy. Okay. All right, then don't forget to join us on May 4 for the analysis of CMAT 23. I'm sure all of you will be curious to know what the difficulty level was, what the cutoffs are going to be, etc. Right, so do join us. All right, and this is our CAT 23 comprehensive program. In case any of you is planning to prepare for CAT 23, any of your friends are, then do recommend this to them. All right, and we are there everywhere on social media, so do follow us. I hope you've subscribed to the channel, you've liked the session, and I hope you genuinely enjoyed the session. For vocabulary quizzes, you can download our app. All right, then, bye bye. See you in the next session on CMAT vocabulary. Bye.